So hello again from beautiful Hawaii. I'm actually in my kitchen right now. Little scenery change in my day. So I wanted to come on and go live about this thing that we do, the lies that we tell ourselves around the whole I can do it later thing. You know, that whole thing that many of us do, that I could do it later. I could make this change in my business later. I can make this change in my life later. Whatever this change is, right? And how that lie shortchanges us. I could say you, but it's really us, all of us, in business and in life. So I actually am going to share this and if you're here live or on the replay and you know this like whole, I could do this later, I could, get that business mentor later, I can break up with my toxic boyfriend later. If you're guilty of this, guilty said in a loving way, right? If you've done this to yourself, because we all do it. Feel free to pop a comment in or to send me a DM, send me a share about it. But the whole story here, I was thinking today about a story about a time I did this to myself and how my whole I could do this later, this being a training I took way back when, how my whole tendency to wait for later for things almost cost me my own healing and the foundations of my career. So rather than just say, yeah, this is a thing we do, let's name it, let's name how it costs us, here's the share, here's the personal story. In 2007, I was a yoga teacher in Boston. I was doing really well. I was super booked out. But I knew I needed to go deeper. Now, at that time, I had pretty extreme PTSD, trauma symptoms, sleepless nights. And I knew I needed to go deeper, both because of the symptoms that I was having and the things I was seeing in my students in their mat. Like, I wanted to take them into deeper process. And I also suspected that I also had a career beyond teaching yoga. So Anna Forrest was coming to town and I wanted to take her teacher training, but I waited and I waited and I waited and I waited. Now I want to say something about Forrest yoga. It's not just yoga like do the poses yoga. It's yoga like connect to your body and emotions in your body and trauma in your body type yoga. And let's release the repressed shit while we're on our mat. It can actually go into that type of process. So that's a piece of information you need for the story, for the share to make sense. So anyway, 2007, I actually took a short training with her, but 2008, she came back to town and I wanted to do this training, her foundations teacher training, immensely for my own healing and to serve my yoga students at a much deeper level and for what I suspected would have a much larger business benefit for me down the road. And it did, but that much larger business benefit took years to manifest. But anyway, I waited and I waited and I waited. I thought, maybe I could do it later. Maybe I could do it next year. Maybe I could just not do it. I went through the whole questioning and part of it was the investment, which at the time was significant, but not huge. Back then I thought it was like $4,000, which is it's money, but it's not huge for me. So part of it was the investment and part of it was like, do I really need this? Do I really not need this? The self-doubt, the questioning, that sort of thing. So I kept postponing taking this training. And then finally, there was a deadline for applications. On the next to last day that the applications were due, I submitted my applications. And you guys, I got either the last spot or the next to last spot. I forget what it was, but because I waited so much and kept telling myself I could do this later, fortunately, I did not miss it. But I got either the last spot or the next to last spot. So what happened during that training itself for me, if you're here live, say hi, introduce yourself, share your thoughts about this. I'm in the middle of a story, but listen in. So what happened during that training, during this Forrest Yoga Foundations teacher training in 2008 was really, really, really huge. The first thing that happened for me was I began to unearth some of my own repressed childhood trauma and to clear it from my nervous system, to clear it from my body. Yes, I taught it to become a better yoga teacher. Yes, it made me a better teacher. Yes, it made me a better leader. But it also facilitated like this massive clearing in myself. And the next thing that happened was it obviously made me a much better teacher. And I don't just mean better teacher in terms of better yoga teacher. I mean that it gave me the foundations, just the very, 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 very beginning foundations of how to hold others through their own deep emotional process. Now, this is huge, guys, because these were both pieces that I needed for myself and for my career, not in terms of a business marketing angle, but in terms of a delivering transformation angle. And because I had that training under my belt, the next year I was eligible to go to graduate school and get a master's in psychology. Now let's back up to the topic of this live. Let's back up a moment. This whole live stream is about lies we tell ourselves of the I can do it later. I told myself I could do that training later, and I almost missed being able to get in. Now, had I listened to the lie, had I skipped that training, I would have postponed graduate school by a couple of years. I might not have gotten the healing that I received during the training, and I sure as hell would not have, become the facilitator, I don't want to just say leader because that's too diffuse. I would have not been able to fully cultivate the way of holding you through your deepest wounding, your biggest emotions, in the way that I have. So I'm going to invite you to come full circle on this, if you're here live, if you're on the replay. And to bring this back to you, where in your life are you telling yourself, where in your business or your life are you telling yourself that you could do something later? This could be a business investment or business decision. It could be a scary personal conversation. It could be a financial decision you need to make, but you're scared shitless of making. Either way, right? Spending, saving, either way, money can scare the shit out of us. And what do you need to do instead of telling yourself that lie? What's the truth here? What do you need to do instead of lying to yourself and saying, I could do this later? What can you do about this today to immediately move forwards and to immediately move the needle? For myself, it was actually the fact that at the very last moment, I gave in my application and my payment for that yoga teacher training, which gave me a healing I needed, which gave me the foundations that I needed to facilitate emotional release in others on a much deeper level. Hey, Sylvette. And which made me eligible to then go to graduate school. It wasn't just a psych program, it was a mind-body psych program. And I guarantee, had I postponed that training or not taken that training, I literally might not have gotten into graduate school and never gotten my master's in psych. So where do you need to literally put down your fear and stop lying to yourself and do something today? For whatever area, topic, aspect of your life that is for you. Okay, my loves, that's what I have for you today. Sylvette is here. I love the hearts. Hi, honey. Sylvette, since you're here live, if you have questions, pop them in now or on the replay. But loves, that's essentially what I had for you. I'm going to be doing these most days for the next month, short 10, 20 minutes a day. So if you're here on the replay, if you're grabbing the end of this, go back to the beginning and watch the whole thing and see how it speaks to you. Lots of love.